Yes, I have got my hands on the new G6 Pro Bullet. Not sure about the name, but it's basically the G6 Pro. So I think in this video what I have in mind is to compare it to the AI Pro and the G5 Pro, because you can still buy both of those, so why not look at all three and see what the difference is and how they actually compare, both in terms of features and specs, but also price, of course, and performance. So this is, well, I've been waiting a while for this. My favorite camera for a long time was the G4 Pro. Then the G5 Pro came out, which was a sort of refined, lower price version of the G4 Pro. If you ever saw my video on that, that was sort of the conclusion I came to. And then the AI Pro came out, and it was a completely different beast. Of course, it had the better sensor and the processor and all that, and we got all the new AI detections as well. And then in a couple of videos ago, I did the G6 Bullet, and I compared that to the AI Pro, which is sort of almost a cut price version of the AI Pro if you didn't need the optical zoom. But now here we are, we have the G6 Pro Bullet, and one of the features that is being obviously sold by Unifi or mentioned a lot is the sensor size, and we'll get to more of that. I'll show you exactly what that means, because it is big. It's a very large sensor in this camera. So I think that's the plan. We're gonna take it out of the box. We're gonna install it just above here next to the other two, the G5 Pro and the AI Pro, and then we'll look and compare all the specs, and then of course we'll test out all the features that we can come up with. So that's the plan. Let's get out the box. All right, let's get out the box. And of course, you know what that means. Exactly. Very good. So this is oh yeah, this is the kind of new reveal type packaging, because it used to be that you pulled it out, but now you don't. So yeah, Unifi is improving the packaging, I guess. And there it is, the G6 Pro Bullet. All right, well, we'll start from this end. This is the mount. So this looks exactly like any other mount for the Bullet cameras. So that's about right. We got a pole mount here as well. Aluminium sort of alloy pole mount. All right, put that out here. Then we have the tool for tightening it. I now have many of these. I'll show you how that works. It's quite clever, actually. And then we have the sort of bullet part of it, the what is it called? You know, the bit where you can adjust where the camera points. So that goes this way, and of course we can go that way, right? So that sits on this right there, like that. Yep. That looks pretty standard as well. That actually looks a bit longer than the others, I think. Anyway, we'll have a look at that in a minute. And then of course there is the camera itself, which is very large. That's actually quite big. Sort of, you can't see that but sort of, yeah. Compared to, especially the G5 Bullet, this is much bigger. Okay, and what's this? Oh, okay, little thing, packaging thing. What's in there? I think that's the SD card, I'm guessing, because it does have an SD card. Most of the new Unifi cameras come with a SD card backup, so we'll put one of those in there as well. And that is a USB-C there, which is for the enhancer that's coming, because that's on the website. So we'll talk about that a bit more. There's not too much to talk about, but yeah, I'll mention that. And this is a gigabit port as well. But this is nice. Again, solid quality, heavy. Put that here, and then we have this new arrangement with the grommet. Oh, this is improved again from the G6 Bullet. That now has a rubber ring around it here. Okay, that's actually quite nice. Yeah, right. Huh. And we have some screws and things. Now it comes in its own little box. Okay. And what else we got? There's some manuals and stuff. There's a tool that is for opening up this here, obviously. That fits in there. Okay. And we have a hose clamp for pole mounting. Yep. And we have our 3 grommet sizes as well, depending on what type of cable you have. I think that's it. Yep, that's all there is in the box. Just look at that. Look at the packaging engineering in this. This is amazing. Anyway, A lot of 3D cutting here. Very good. All right, so let's get all of this up next to the other two cameras. So here's my test setup. I have the G5 Pro is at the end here, the white one. The AI Pro is here, that's the black one. And I'm gonna put the G6 Pro Bullet right here. And installation, it's kind of simple because it's all now the same, or more or less the same. So we're gonna start with, let's see if we can find the right one. So this says here on the back, please ensure the rubber grommet is securely fastened to prevent water damage, which is important. So we're gonna get to the rubber grommet in just a second, but first we're gonna put this on here, like that. All right, so that's the base of it. And yes, I know the wiring is a little bit, but this is just a test, right? This, I'm not sure exactly where this camera's gonna end up on the farm, but I will find a space for it. But yeah, this is just for testing. I've got a flex switch on the other side that powers it all, so we should be good. All right, next step is putting this on here. So this goes on like this, like that, but we need the grommet as well, which actually goes on here like that. And that fits through there, like that. And of course, then we need the rubber grommet on here as well. So let me just attach this sort of loosely there, like that. And we need to figure out which one to use, which are the three sizes. I think we're gonna go for the bigger one because I think it's gonna sit on this bit here, which these Unifi patch cable, they can bend like that, which is very, very handy, but it does mean we need the thicker grommet on here. So then we put that on the other side here, because that has got to obviously seal into this bit here, like that, and into that like this. We can pull this a bit, come on. It's a little bit fiddly, but it is worth getting right. So like that, and then we can push that in there, like that, and that's tight. Now that is sealed, right? So that's not going anywhere. So now we're hoping we have enough cable for the camera, which is here. And again, no enhancer, but I'll talk more about enhancers in just a second. So we're gonna plug that in, clicky clicky. There we go. And that now goes on there. It's all very neat and just fits exactly in here. There's a speaker in it. So now we have to position this roughly like the other ones because we want to get more or less the same angle and image so we can compare them. And remember I mentioned there was the special tool that just slides on over here, and then this means you can tighten it properly here, which is really neat. So I think that's about right ish. And then once we're happy with this rotation, we can tighten these two screws as well. But I'll do that a bit later because I'll probably have to adjust it. All right, and let's take this off. So now we have, that looks very nice. So immediately what I notice is that this bit here is much longer than the others. So it actually sticks out a lot more, and maybe that's useful. Yeah, it sticks out more from the wall. I think that's a useful thing. Let me know in the comments what you think, but it's sticking out much further than the other two. The actual camera is about the same size as the AI Pro, I'd say. But of course it has the larger lens and optical zoom, but we'll get to all that when we look at the specs. So yeah, it's up now. So I'm just gonna adopt it into Unifi Protect, and then we'll go and look at all the specs and features.
So before we get into the specs and the features and the sensor sizes and all that, how about subscribing? I know, it's free and you get a whole lot more new videos with it. Yep. And I am aiming for 50,000 this year, and you can be part of the journey. Or you can leave a comment down below, questions about the camera and anything else, or you could maybe even become a member. I do sort of members only content, behind the scenes stuff and extra details and all that sort of stuff. So that's another option to support the channel. All right, let's get into the G6 Pro Bullet specs. So I have the store page for it here. And as it says, all-weather 4K PoE Plus camera. So we sort of knew that. With a multi-tops AI engine. So this is multi terabyte operations per second, or something like that. It's many operations per second. We have 2.36 optical zoom, interesting number. And we have this large sensor, and I'll get back to much more about that. And we should get exceptional low light clarity and long range IR night vision. That's the promise. And of course, it comes in black and white, as most of the cameras do. So let's just scroll down, and I'm going to compare it to the other two cameras as well, as we started doing. So I have the G6 Pro Bullet, the new one, the AI Pro, and the G5 Pro. Now you could argue I should include the G6 Bullet with this, but it's not really, in this case, the same camera. The video I did on the G6 Bullet, I compared it to the AI Pro because it was more of a should I buy one or the other. I want to look at what is the evolution of these Pro cameras now. So that's why I'm choosing these three. So first of all, we have the price. $479 for the new G6 Pro Bullet, which is $20 less US. I only have US pricing. Then the AI Pro, which is $499, and then the G5 Pro is $379. So, and this was what I got to the conclusion in my G5 Pro video as well, was that this is sort of the budget, the cut cost version. It's not a terrible camera by any means. It's a great camera, probably better than G4 Pro in many aspects. But that was sort of, it was like an enhancement of all the different features, including build and price of the G4 Pro. But I'm including it here because you can still buy it. Yep. So we have dimensions, first of all, here. Without the mount, and it's actually interesting because the new G6 Pro Bullet is tiny bit smaller than the AI Pro, just the camera itself. And I actually, when I looked at it, it looked bigger, but it isn't. So you can see it's tiny bit smaller, but it's pretty much the same size as the AI Pro, which makes sense. It's the same processor. It's it has optical zoom, etc. So yeah. And then there is the G5 Pro, which is much smaller, right? It doesn't even have without wall mount dimensions, but it's a much smaller camera. Night vision, that's probably one of the interesting things, because now you get 40 meters standard, or like without the enhancer. And speaking of enhancers, I decided to not put them on the other two because I do have the G5 Pro enhancer is here, and I have the AI Pro enhancer as well, which is here. I actually did a whole video just on the AI Pro enhancer because it's that awesome. But it wouldn't be fair to compare the G6 Pro Bullet with the other two with enhancers, right? Because I don't have an enhancer for the G6 Pro Bullet. But there's one coming, because it says here up to 60 meters with vision enhancer. What's actually on it, I'm not sure. I'm assuming it'll be something similar to this. So you get a speaker, like a loudspeaker on it as well, even though the camera has a speaker already, but who knows? Let's see what comes out when that is announced. Then we have the zoom. It has slightly less optical zoom. I don't think that makes a huge difference if you look at it, but yeah, it is slightly less. And then of course we have the recognition. So the AI and the G6 all have face recognition, license plate recognition, etc. All three have smart detection. So there's an extra added thing there. Of course, if you have an AI key or an AI port, you can also get that on the G5 Pro. It will do the LPR and the facial recognition. The field of view, very similar. The G6 is actually a little bit wider here on the wide angle. Just a tiny bit, and on the telly, it's a bit wider of telephoto because obviously it can't zoom in as much, so that makes sense. The G6 and the AI have two-way audio. The G5 only has microphone, and the weatherproofing is very similar. The G6 just had a slightly higher rating now of IP66 instead of 65, so that has to do with water ingress. So this will take more of a water beating. And then we have tamper resistance, and the IK scale is a way of measuring how much force it can withstand. So for example, IK04 is, so many joules of energy, as in that so much weight dropped from such a height. That's sort of how they measure it. And it goes up to IK10 is the highest rating. Then we have performance. First of all, the networking interface, I don't think this makes much difference, but it does have a gigabit. The 100 megabit port works just fine for 4K. It's not a big deal. Video settings, they're all the same on paper. And then of course we have optics. This is where it gets really interesting to me. So I'll explain all this in just a second in a bit more detail, but it has a much larger sensor, the G6, than the AI, and that has a larger sensor than the G5. And this in real quickly, like the TLDR version of this is larger sensor means more light per pixel, assuming they have the same resolution, which they do, which means more clarity. And then for the lens, because this has less zoom, we have different kind of millimeter lens telephoto thing, and the f-stop is actually about the same. It's actually a little bit lower, which means you get, again, a bit more light in. So that's all good, which should give us a better image quality. But let's see about that when we get to that. We have built-in night mode. It uses more power, 15 watt max power consumption. The others are 11 and 10 without the enhancers. What it is in actual real world, because we don't run at max all the time, obviously, I'm not sure. We'll find that out, probably. We'll have a look. And it runs on PoE Plus, and the other two runs on PoE. So it uses a bit more power because there's more processing, and that sensor probably needs a bit more oomph as well, I'd imagine. These two, the AI and the G6, have quad-core ARM Cortex-A53. The G5 Pro is a dual-core, and that is about it. They're all made of roughly the same material, aluminium alloy and polycarbonate. And oh yeah, the G6 Pro has a micro SD slot, which I have put in. So we do get backup data, like off the NVR or whatever you're using to record your footage, onto the camera itself for backup. So in my case, I use this in case the NVR goes down. I'll have the events at least on the camera itself. So on paper, at least, if you look at the specs here, like I just have, it looks like I'd say that the G6 Pro Bullet is a much better buy than the AI Pro. I'm not sure why you would buy the AI Pro now that the G6 Pro Bullet is here. Apart from the slightly more optical zoom, but that's about it. That's about the only thing I can see. And the G6 is cheaper. Yeah? Have I missed something? Anyway, let me know in the comments would you think that's correct or not. The G5 Pro, I think, still has merit. Maybe if it was $100 cheaper though. But yeah, it's a tricky one. I know pricing is hard. So with all that in mind, I want to talk about image sensor formats because this is becoming more and more important now. The way that you measure image sensor size is weird, or format. So I've gone to my favorite website here, Wikipedia, but there's a good picture here, and I've used this before. It gives you a little bit of an idea, right? So here's some example sizes, and we have 1/2.5 inch, 1/1.8 inch, 2/3 inch, etc. And you can see they get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So why this weird and wonderful way of measuring sensor sizes? Like what is it that we get? Like, why is it that way? And this is bothering me. I'm from the metric world, so already inches are weird. And then we have this sort of 1/, something, which is a fraction of an inch, 1/2.5 inch. Now here's why. So I figured this out. So back in the 60s, 70s, 50s, maybe even, there was a cathode tube inside a TV. We might remember that. If you're as old as me, when you turn the TV off, it got that, and you got that, like that sort of effect, right? And that was that tube turning off. It was a tube that emitted light onto the screen. The size of that tube was measured by the outside diameter. Yeah? So the larger the tube, the better TV or something like that. I'm just reading my notes here. The Vidicon camera tube apparently is what it was called. So the actual usable area of a sensor is not a diameter. It's a rectangle or a square, rectangle inside, right? But because of legacy reasons, we still measure or categorize sensor formats in that way of the diameter of the sensor. So a ring around all four corners, but it's not the actual size. Does that make sense? So we measure, we categorize sensors by diameter. We measure their size by millimeter square, which we don't really use anywhere except in data sheets, which is just frustrating, but that is how the industry does it, right? So let me give you some examples here. we have down here on the Wikipedia page, and I'll link that down below. There's a whole bunch of maths. Don't worry about that. There's a really long table down here that gives you a lot of details. For example, let's just go back here and we'll have a look. So the sensor size for, there we go, for the G5 Pro is 1/2 inch, right? 1/2 inch. That is, the diameter is 1/2 inch around the sensor. So here we can see that 1/2 inch, which is here, is diagonal millimeters 8, width is 6.4, and height is 4.8 millimeter. That all up does not give, 8 millimeter is not 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is about 12.5 or 13 millimeters, right? So already we are out of whack. That's why we need tables like this. You can see the aspect ratio is 4:3, which is most of them, as far as I can figure out. But the actual area of the sensor is 30.7 millimeters square. Like, that's the area of it. Yeah? So if we go to the next one, so that's 30 millimeters square. 1/1.8 is down here. 1/1.8 there. Slightly bigger. At 38.2 millimeters square. Yeah? And then we have the new one, and get ready for this. The new G6 Pro sensor is 1/1.2 inch. And here it doesn't sound that much bigger. It really doesn't. 1/1.8, 1/1.2, yeah, whatever. But when you look into it, 1/1.2, which is here, is 85 millimeters square. 1/1.8, the one next down, one down, the AI Pro is 38. So this is more than twice the size, twice the area of the sensor. That is significant, right? Because again, remember, more light on the sensor, we have the same number of pixels, means that it's a 4K sensor, means that we get better clarity, we get more light, and we get more information to the sensor. So this is cool. Like, this is a big change. And just for that, I would say that the G6 Pro Bullet on paper, let's have a look at the actual real world, on paper, is a much better buy. Why would you want half a size of sensor when that comes down to image quality, which is why we have a camera, and it's cheaper? That's my deduction. Again, I'd love to hear your opinion in the comments. But that's what I could figure out. This kind of, if you're a nerd like me and like cameras, this is really important. And again, you can see here, if we go up to 1 inch, suddenly we're at a 4:3 format, we're at 123 millimeters square. So again, big size change over 1/1.2 inch, even though it doesn't sound that different. Yeah, cool. All right, I think it's time that we're gonna go into Unifi Protect and have a look at the G6 Pro Bullet. All right, Unifi Protect. Let's have a look at some features now. I haven't done a video on this, but other fellow YouTubers have. The new Unifi Protect 6.1 gives us a whole new sort of layout. And just quickly, if you haven't seen this before, all the sort of filtering stuff is now on the left over here. So there's a few different things. And it just looks a bit different. We can have overview. We can actually have the recording manager is directly here as well. Inside of sort of the overview of devices, which is nice. But I like this view, like that. And let's have a look at the G6 Pro Bullet, which is down here. See, there it is, G6 Pro Bullet. So this now looks slightly different as well. There's 4 settings now because they've moved some of the camera settings in its own menu, which I actually don't mind. I think it makes more sense. But first of all, we have the connection. Excellent, or I hope so. It is a 1 gigabit connection, as we saw, and it has been up for 15 hours. So this is the next day from when I installed it. Nothing unusual about any of this. We have alarms as well. We can see when they were last. This actually is a new feature as well. So you can see the last sort of latest what has happened. So there was a person 11 minutes ago, animal 6 hours ago, motion 11 minutes ago, a vehicle about 4 hours ago, and you can play that event from here. So you can press that directly and it'll show up and it'll show you the vehicle, which is stationary as far as I know. Come on. Yeah, then it realizes there's a vehicle up there. It does that sometimes. It recognizes stationary vehicles, which, yeah, not that often. So other cameras are worse, actually. Vehicle of interest. So that would be one of the ones that I have programmed in that belongs to a person. So me, for example, I've associated a number plate with me. And then speaking, when did we last hear people speaking? And of course you can create alarms from here. We're not going to go through Alarm Manager in this. I did that in quite some detail in my Superlink sensor video. So go check that out if you haven't. So that's the overview. Now, recording settings. When to record, I always have always. I have enough storage, it's fine. I use an NVR and always is good. I like having all the footage. Recording modes, continuous or events only, or adaptive, which is, what is adaptive again? Records in lower quality when no activity is detected, and automatically switches to high quality during motion or smart detections. That's actually kind of neat. So that saves some data. I think that's a new feature in 6.1 or 6. We want to create AI events. We absolutely do. And you can see edit video detection types. Those are the 5 we have currently. Might be more coming, who knows? But we have animal, face, license plate, person, and vehicle that we detect. Then we have audio detections, and there's quite a few of those. You can see baby crying, barking car horn, car alarm, CO alarm, glass breakage, siren, smoke alarm, and speaking. I just have all of those on. So nothing unusual about this. Most other cameras have the same. That's the beauty of this, is that all the cameras more or less look the same. Despite what hardware might be, the settings are more or less the same. Of course, some of them have, extra settings if you have a speaker, for example. Create motion events. I tend to put that on. Now, motion events are things that aren't those events: animal, face, license plate, person, vehicle. So if a tree moves or something, I kind of like having that on. It's pretty good at not having trees moving as events, but yeah, you may get that. So that's up to you how you want to do that. Tamper detection. That's a new feature in 6.1. It says here, detects if the camera is physically moved or obstructed, right? So if someone comes to put cardboard over it, or someone tries to steal it, it should give you an alert, logged as a timeline event, and can trigger alarms or automations. So we can do that in Alarm Manager. We can use the tamper detection to get an alert. Now, I am going to put that on. I haven't tried that before. This is the first camera I'm doing this with, so I don't think we'll test it in this video, but I'll put it on. And recording quality, all the usual stuff. What kind of encoding, compression, resolution do you want to record in? And then we have overlay information. I actually put camera name and time. I don't need the logo on there. And top left is fine. So I'll apply those changes. And then we have zones and lines. So this now has its own menu. So motion zones is where do you want it to take motion. Now, I usually edit this because I don't really need motion detection for all of this sort of, high up stuff. So something like that, I don't really need detection there. Maybe that one is a little bit higher because there's a driveway there. Yep, like that. But that's about usually all I do. Smart detection is fine. Crossing line I don't use on this. A crossing line is you get an event if something moves from one side of a line to another. And I use that actually to open my gate. Then when vehicles exit, I have a camera that detects whether a vehicle is going down the driveway. So it must already be on the property. If it goes down the driveway, it'll open the gate. And some people go, oh no, but if someone jumps in and steals a car, right? Yeah, but for me, it's a convenience thing. I have other measures to prevent theft. Woof, woof. Right, and that's the zones and lines. Then there are the settings, which again are standard for anything. Camera name, I'm going to keep it at that now because that allows us to identify it when we compare the 3. And we have the microphone sensitivity, so I'm going to keep that at 100. I often get a question about legality of recording someone's voice without them being consenting to it, as in it records on a camera. In some jurisdictions, some countries, you can never do that. So you can then disable this permanently. They will never record audio. In Victoria, here in Australia, I have to notify people, which I do at my gate. I say, you may be recorded. So I can do it, but it depends. You've got to figure that out yourself, what is legally allowed in your jurisdiction. HDR, I've had mixed results with putting HDR on in terms of quality. I have turned it off on this one, and I have on the other 2 cameras as well. So we're going to compare without HDR off, and we can put it on and compare with it on as well. But I've had some, weird behavior in terms of image quality sometimes. And then we have night vision. I'm going to keep that on for now. And when we test the night vision, we'll turn on one IR at a time so we can see the difference, right? And then we have camera. Status sounds, I don't need that. Status light is fine. Advanced settings is shadow exposure, picture, brightness, contrast. I never touch any of this, to be honest. I don't see a need. I don't have to. They've been fine as defaults for me. Then we have orientation. You can change it if you want to. Hallway mode is actually quite nice. You can have it, if you have a long bit, you can have, instead of having 16:9 image, you can have a 9:16. So you can do that. And we can tag a camera, so you can group the cameras, and you can select groups of cameras based on tags. And of course, we can share the live stream. I'm going to enable the RTSPS output in high because I use that in Home Assistant to get the cameras in there, and I use that stream. And that's it. That is all the features for the G6 Pro Bullet. Very similar to other cameras, which is what we should expect. So let's start comparing and have a look at the image quality of this camera and the other two. So here's the image for the G6 Pro Bullet. Oh, it's just a bird came by. Oh well. Here's the live image, and yeah, it's on first inspection, it looks very clear. Now these, again, it's turning a little bit white, which is the issue I had sort of with the HDR as well. But there's a lot of difference between sunlight and shade right now, which isn't helping, but it is what it is. So let me just run through what there is on the screen. So we have the usual up here. We have the shortcuts. So that's, you can add a shortcuts to another camera on the screen. So you can go to, put one over here that says carport and go to that. We can track things, of course. And we can add things here, and you can see as we add things, we get many more things. And as always, bear in mind, if you add these things in live view, it can slow down the detection rate ever so slightly, right? Because it's got to process so much. But maybe it's better with the new cameras. I'm not sure. So we can add all that. We can adjust the focus, take a snapshot. We can add to a case. Again, Case Manager is helpful if you ever had an incident of some sort. You can collect all the bits from the cameras, all the footage, and then we have the settings, right? And then down here, we have the shortcuts. So we can actually speed up, slow down, etc. Not in live view, but we can move it. If you like using keyboards, these are good. And then down here, we have some grid search. We have the heat map of where has activity happened. So we can generate a heat map. There hasn't been much because I just put the camera up, but you would see a heat map of where things are going. I'll turn that off. Multi-camera playback, we'll get to that. Edge AI REID. I don't even know what that is. What does that do? Okay, so pause. Okay, I'm gonna pause that. I haven't seen this before. Sorry, I just got excited. What is that? Edge AI. So it's doing something on the camera, hence Edge. AI, we're doing an AI thing. And we're scanning thing. And what is REID? Okay, what happened? No, that's just a rabbit in detections. Huh. Not sure. I'm going to figure that out. And then I'll come back. But yeah, not sure. Okay. That's a new button. We'll turn that off again. Yep. Anyway, we'll go back to live view. And we have the usual controls down here. And of course, we can mute the sound and put it back on, right? And we have here the, please disable detection highlight. Okay, so we can disable that. Why do we need to do that? Must be a processing thing. I did. There we go. So now I can use the camera built-in speaker to talk. Now, I'm going to test the audio a little bit later as well and see how well that works. I almost forgot. Sorry. If you want to use the optical zoom, it's down here in the corner. You press the little plus button. Don't use these because that just zooms in the digital image. So that's not the optical zoom. You press the little magnifying icon here, and now you can zoom in. So you can change this a bit like that, 1.3, 1.7, whatever it is, and we can zoom all the way into 2.36. Like that. Now, remember that this is sort of a static zoom. So now it records this bit. Like, you can't move the camera. It's not a PTZ camera. It just is, you can zoom in if you have a scenario where you don't need the wide angle, but you want to zoom in on a specific point and have it more narrow. This is the way you do it. Now, I kind of like the 1x, the more wide view. So I leave it at that. But yeah, just in case you're wondering, that's where it is. And it's because it's optical, you get 4K the whole way, right? It's not like a digital zoom. So that's where the optical zoom is. All right. But the image itself, it's pretty clear. And of course, this is a daytime footage. We'll look at nighttime a bit later as well. So let's try and compare them with the other two. So if I go back here to the dashboard, I have made a little comparison side by side of the three cameras. So we have the G6 Pro Bullet here, AI Pro up here, and a G5 Pro there. And immediately, to me, I like the G6 better. It seems more vivid. It seems a little bit clearer. So it's tricky to see on these small ones, but if I make this bigger, you see that there, compared to the AI Pro, which seems a little bit more washed out. I think a little bit more, a little bit less clear, you could say. And then the G5 Pro, which actually doesn't look too bad. But it's a bit, again, the colors aren't as vivid. It's like there's not as much light coming in, which makes sense with the smaller sensor on the G5. All right. So up front, I like this image better, not just because it's a new camera. I actually do think that's a slightly better image. None of them are terrible at all, but I do like the G6 just a tiny bit better. I think so. All right, so here I've just added HDR on the medium level just to see what would happen, and to immediately look at how green it is. Like the new G6 just came up like really vivid. It's not that green outside. That almost looks a little bit fake, if I'm honest. But that's sort of what HDR does, high dynamic range. It sort of elevates each of the color ranges and light ranges to try and create a more vivid or better image. So that's the G6, the AI. That actually looks more real. This is more what it looks like, from memory at least. And then the G5, also, that's a vast improvement actually on the G5. Yeah, I'm not sure about the G6. That's very, very vivid. So I don't think I'll keep that on. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Let's just see if we go to the live view here. Yeah, it's still about the same. Yeah, so that's a bit over the top. You can probably dial that down in the settings, but I could just turn it off as well. Let's just see if I turn it off. Just have a look. It's quite the difference. Quite the difference. Yeah. It's almost a little bit overexposed now, without HDR on it. Huh, interesting. It's clearer than the other two, but the color profile is, yeah, interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments, because now I'm like, do I put it on? Do I not put it on? Is it better with or without? Anyway, yeah, I'm in two minds now, but let me know. Yeah, put in the comments, what do you think? All right, next. All right, so let's look at the detections, and I'm going to start with the G6 Pro Bullet and a person, which is me. So I'm going to play it here, and you can see I come from the right-hand side of the screen there, and you get the confidence level, you get the it's a person, and I'm just walking past here as well. And now I'll just go around here, and I'm going to come up walking towards the camera. I'll just forward a bit like that. And we should get facial recognition as well. There should be a little green thing that comes up here as I approach. Let's see. There we go. That is the facial recognition right there. That green square, right? That means it has recognized my face. Exactly. So that works really well. Super smooth, easy. Let's have a look at the AI Pro for the same. So here's the same footage, more or less, and it still works just as far as well. That's pretty much the exact same experience. So let's just see if it does the facial recognition as well. I would be very surprised if it didn't. Like that. And did I not enable it? No, I did. Face there. Okay. And we didn't get a facial recognition event. I'm surprised. It's well, you saw where the cameras are. They're right next to each other. Why didn't the AI Pro pick that up? That is a bit odd. Okay. So let's try the G5 Pro. Now this does not have facial recognition. As you can see, I can only choose person, but it'll detect it just as well. Let's just put the confidence level on as well. And you can see here that it's pretty confident it's a person. So we get person recognition, but not facial recognition. If we wanted facial recognition, we would need to attach the AI port to it. Remember, the AI key only processes existing detection, smart detections. So whatever the camera picks up, it can post-process and enhance and index those with AI. The AI port will actually add the detections. That's the difference. But check out my video on the AI port if you want to know more about that. So person recognition, well, the G6 in this case came out on top, didn't it? Yeah. Although I would expect the AI Pro to have facial recognition. Well, it does. Okay, there's been a little bit of a note here. I didn't have facial recognition turned on the AI Pro, and I don't know why. I usually have all of it on, so that's why I didn't pick up the facial recognition in the test we did. But that's what you get when your YouTube hosts don't plan properly. Anyway, I thought it'd be on. I don't know why it would be off, and it absolutely will pick it up. So that wasn't quite fair, but the G6 Pro and the AI Pro, I think, is exactly the same in terms of detection of person. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's have a look at number plate detection and vehicle detection for that matter. So I've got my car here. I'm going to drive up the driveway. This is with the G6 Pro Bullet. And you can see here it gets the number plate right, 300063. It's an SUV, it's white. That is correct. Nothing, it's exactly as I expected it would be, right? So that seems excellent. All right, that worked. Let's try with the AI Pro. And I'm expecting to get the exact same result, just saying here. So I'll just rewind this. There we go. Make sure we have vehicle enabled here. There we go. Look at that, how it just comes on. Isn't that nice? And yeah, exactly the same. 300063, SUV and white, as you'd expect. All right, and finally, let's just have a look at the G5 Pro, just because. Of course, the G5 Pro doesn't have number plate recognition, and it doesn't have the same smart detections as AI and G6 cameras do. But let's just see what we get. So we can only choose vehicle, vehicle type, vehicle color. And okay, let's see if we get vehicle type and color. No, it just knows the vehicle. It's not adding vehicle type and color. Interesting. So that's definitely a minus for G5, but I expected it to be less accurate, less good, to be honest. Just doesn't have the same oomph as the G6 and the AI. So yeah, well, number plate recognition, vehicle recognition, that seems to work really well for the G6 Pro as well. Okay, and then finally, I just wanted to check the audio as well. There was one of you that commented on the picture I posted of the box of the G6 Pro Bullet, said, hey, could you check the audio? So I will. So here we are, that's the G5 Pro. Now we're gonna go to the G6 Bullet, sorry, which is there. And we're gonna put the audio on, it is on there. And then we'll see how that sounds. All right, you ready? So if I'm talking from here, does it actually sound clear even on YouTube? Because apparently all three, of course, have microphones in them, and the speakers we're going to test in just a second, but how is the audio quality? Has it changed between the three cameras or not? We don't know. So that's the test. That's pretty clear. That's pretty clear. It's a little bit echoey, but that's also because of where it is, the camera. That's not bad. All right, let's just have a look at the AI Pro. Look, listen. So if I'm talking from here, does it actually sound clear even on YouTube? Because apparently all three, of course, have microphones in them, and the speakers we're going to test in just a second, but how is the audio quality? Has it changed between the three cameras or not? We don't know. So that's the test. That sounds way more robotic and mechanical. It's like the compression is turned way up. Okay, G6 definitely better on that one. Let's just try the G5 Pro. I would expect this would be even less good. But let's have a look. Listen, I mean. So if I'm talking from here, does it actually sound clear even on YouTube? Because apparently all three, of course, have microphones in them, and the speakers we're going to test in just a second, but how is the audio quality? Has it changed between the three cameras or not? We don't know. So that's the test. I would say that's actually better than the AI Pro. It's still nowhere near as good as a G6, nowhere near as clear, but it's less robotic. Interesting. All right. Well, thank you for whoever recommended or suggested I should do that test, because yeah, I think the G6 is actually way better that microphone picks it up, the audio much cleaner, much clearer. Interesting. All right.
Let's just do a quick test of the speakers. The G5 Pro doesn't have a speaker, but the AI Pro does, and the G6 Pro Bullet does as well. So I'm going to start with the AI Pro, and I've got it on my phone here. I'm going to press the little microphone icon, and we should hear something hopefully. Hello YouTube, can you hear me? Hello? Hey YouTube! I don't know if you can hear that, but it's okay, it's decent. With the enhancer on it, which we're not using in this video, it's better. Obviously, there's a bigger speaker on it, but the out of the box, it's not bad. Yeah, not bad. All right, let's try the G6 Pro Bullet, which I've changed to on the phone. Hello YouTube, how are you? That's pretty good actually. I think they're about the same. I'd say the G6 Pro Bullet is probably a little tiny bit better, a little bit louder maybe. Yeah, so the speakers work. I don't use that a lot, but if you're somewhere where you need two-way communication, it works.
And now we come to the party piece of the G6 Pro Bullet. That is that sensor and low light. This is so good. Anyway, I'm going to show you. All right. So I have here on the screen, no IR at all. So first of all, I have turned off every camera's infrared light. So there's lots of infrared pollution, whatever you want to call it, around here, and I have turned off all of it. So this is pure night vision. There's a little bit down the front here. That's actually the license plate recognition, the AI LPR, because it wouldn't turn it off. Not sure what I was doing wrong. Anyway, it doesn't influence what we're doing up here at the house. So it is a dark night. There is some moonlight. In fact, I made a little video here, as you can see, of what it looked like outside. So I could see a little bit more than what you see on the on this clip, but there's really not much light. So here's the G5 Pro, and that is no infrared light. It's just what it picks up with the sensor, right? Not bad. Like that's not terrible. You can see everything is defined, etc. Right. Let's have a look at the AI Pro for comparison, right? Okay, better. Right? It's slightly better. It's more, it picks up more detail. It's sort of lighter in it and whatever. All right, you ready for this? And well, let me just make that a little bit bigger here, just for emphasis, like that. So this is the AI Pro. This is the $499 camera. Have a look at the G6 Pro Bullet. All right, you ready? This is amazing. Yeah, there it is. That is no infrared light other than what's really white down the bottom of the driveway there, but that is no infrared light, just a bit of moonlight, and otherwise just dark. You know, it's 10:30 at night, 10:20 at night. It's dark. I'm thoroughly impressed. That is what that larger sensor size does. Even though it's the same resolution, even though it's a 4K camera just like the others, this is what the difference in sensor means. I think this just speaks volumes to why we want bigger sensors, or better sensors, right? It's not always just the size, but that certainly makes it more, get more light into it. That's incredible. All right. Okay, so I'm back at the G5 Pro with no IR. So let's just see how that works with person recognition, or, you know, detecting a person walking by. So here's me coming past, and I look like a ghost. You see? I'm walking past. It doesn't even pick up. So person tracking is on. It doesn't pick it up. Like it actually looks like a ghost. It's kind of weird, right? So nothing at all, right? If I just go back to that same, let's just go back here, we rewind, and then I go to the AI Pro, see how that performs when it's just you know, natural light, and we put person on here, and it should recognize it. Come on, there's an event there for it. Not sure why it doesn't light up, but it did. See, you can see here there's an event. Oh, just a motion event. Okay, so the AI Pro didn't pick up the person either. Sorry, it's a motion event. All right, let me go back again here, and then I'm going to go to the G6 Pro Bullet. Have a look at this. So obviously there's much more light coming in, and picks it up. So same conditions, and the G6 Pro Bullet picks up me as a person walking past the whole way, right? So when I go past the bottom down here, so down here it's about 25 meters away. You can probably guess what happens with the G5 Pro. So you can see here comes the ghost. You can just see me there. Yeah. And of course, it doesn't pick up the person there either. Like, it didn't pick it up at 5 meters. It's definitely not going to pick it up at 25 meters or so. And there's nothing. Waving, etc. Nothing happens, right? All right, let's have a look at the AI Pro then. And you can see here's the AI Pro, and I'm walking past here. And again, not picking it up. Not picking up a person at about 25 meters, right? And now let's try again the same. Here, I'll go back a bit more. G6 Pro Bullet. And not only can you see me clearly down there, I don't look like a ghost, but there we go. And almost, come on, there we go. Picks up the person. Even at 25 meters of only more darkness, but no infrared light and just a bit of moonlight. That is pretty impressive. I mean, I haven't seen that on any other camera. And that is what the bigger sensor does. All right, so let's try with the infrared on. So I'll go through this a bit quicker. So I'm going to go to G5 Pro, and I'm going to turn its infrared on, or I did, and here's the infrared light for the G5 Pro. So I'm going to walk past here, and it picks up. Right, infrared light, it picks up that there is a person. Right, we'll fast forward a bit. So down here, I'm walking there again. I look like a ghost. It gets a little bit better the closer I get, but no event. It's not picking up that there is a person. And just for comparison, the G6 Pro Bullet did pick up that there was a person. Now, this is with the G5 Pro's infrared light on the G6 Pro. Right, you know what I mean? So, let's go to the AI Pro. And here is the AI Pro infrared on. So this is a similar range to the G5 Pro. They have roughly the same infrared length or distance. And remember, this is without the enhancers, right? I'm not adding the enhancers just to make it a fair comparison. So here's me walking past, the AI Pro picks up a person, no problem, right? And then we can go down a bit further here. And I walk past, and the AI Pro should pick up a person as well. And come on, a bit closer. Almost. No, is it just the motion of it? No, it did pick up a person. I don't know why I didn't highlight it, but it did pick up that it was a person. So that worked for the AI Pro, right? So that's a similar distance infrared, so 25 meters or so. So now I turned it off. All right, so let's try the G6 Bullet. G6 Pro Bullet, rather. That's a different camera from the G6 Bullet, because naming is hard. And here is the G6 Pro Bullet's infrared on. Now, just a bit of a caveat here. If you compare this to the G6, so the AI Pro and the G5 Pro, it looks similar in distance of infrared. Now, these cameras from Unifi, and probably other brands as well, but Unifi have like an adaptive infrared range. Because I have this tree so close, it actually adjusts the infrared light in terms of how much it emits so that this doesn't go completely white, right? And just blurs out. So the 40 meters, you can actually see it, 40 meters about down here, the end of the lawn, roughly. That does actually get lit, but not as much as if I didn't have this tree, I think. So there's a little bit of a caveat. It's tricky testing these things in real world because there are trees and things around, right? But let's just have a look at what it actually picks up, right? So you can see how clear it is. It's much clearer than the other two. And, you know, it picks up the person there. And again, the party trick, I think, is that it picks up detections, not just movement, but person detection that much further away, like 25 meters or so, even with the infrared light not being full, etc., etc. So, yeah, I think it outperforms, especially with no infrared and just, you know, natural light from the moon and whatever and radiation. It just outperforms the other two massively. Even with the infrared, it actually works better than the other two. It detects people and whatever better. Yeah. So that's at least that's what I'm thinking. Again, let me know in the comments if you have a different opinion or what I might have missed, because I have messed these tests up before. I don't think I did it this time, but sometimes I've shown the wrong camera with the wrong infrared light, etc, etc. Pretty sure I got it right this time. But yeah, let me know. Always happy to be corrected and have a discussion about what is happening. So, G6 Pro Bullet, holy crap, what a sensor.
So that's my comparison of the G5 Pro, the AI Pro, and the G6 Pro Bullet. And I think, well, in my book, there's a clear winner. The G6 Pro Bullet is quite a bit ahead on most accounts. That larger sensor just makes a huge difference at night, absolutely. I think the daytime image, even without HDR, is really crisp. It's pretty much on par with the AI Pro. There's not a huge difference, I think. But of course, I have enhancers for both the AI Pro and the G5 Pro, and there's one coming for the G6 Pro Bullet, which is going to put it even further ahead, possibly. We don't know exactly what it's going to do, but it does say it'll have infrared distance or light up to 60 meters. The only other thing that comes even, that is up there is the AI PTZ, the massive camera I did a video on, that has 100 meters infrared range, which is just crazy. But let me know what you think in the comments. To me, this is a clear choice. Like, if you are going to go the pro level and the top of the Unifi cameras, I think the G6 Pro Bullet is the obvious choice. But I'm keen to hear you thoughts on it as well. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing, because that's how we get the channel to grow, and I get to do more of these videos that hopefully you enjoy, that I spend many hours doing. And give it a thumbs up, or consider becoming a member, or any other way that you might want to support the channel. I'd really appreciate it. But I hope you enjoyed it. This is a cool camera. I'm going to play with it some more, but I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.